As I was on the flight coming back, I was looking out the Hublot, and there's a big blue sky.
Mhm.
And I thought that's exactly what 2025 real estate looks like for us. Big blue sky. It's amazing.
Have you been thinking about buying your first rental property for some time, or do you already own a bunch of properties? Well, fellow investors, you found the right location to listen and learn from others' successes. Welcome to The Very Real Estate Effect with your host, Axel Mont-Saint-Jean.
Hello, and welcome back to the Very Real Estate Effect podcast, a show dedicated to real estate investing right here in Quebec and in Canada and in North America. Today, it's a pleasure and an honor to have my friend Marc Leroux, president and founder of Cardinal Realty Group.
Yes.
Hi, Marc. How are you? Welcome to the show.
Hi, Axel, and thank you so much for having me today.
Hey, look, it's a pleasure. I've been wanting to have you on the show for a little bit now. So, Cardinal Realty Group is a brokerage, and you are a broker. You've built a really nice team. There's a few things we're going to be talking about today, but before we get into it, I just want to remind everyone. Thank you for sharing this episode with a friend who could benefit from this conversation. I really don't ask you who listens to this for much, but please subscribe to the show. It really helps us reach more people like yourself. And leave us some comments. Send me some questions if there are topics or suggestions you would like to make about people to have on. I really appreciate this. I'm in the process of planning my next episodes, and I really want to come up with episodes that you care about. So let me know what you'd like to hear about and help us reach more people. So today, Marc,
Yes.
you founded Cardinal Realty Group. How long ago?
Almost 5 years ago, so in 2020.
Okay. And you've grown the team. You've been very active. First of all, like, how in the world did you get involved in real estate investing?
Well, it's been about 16 years that I'm a realtor in Montreal.
Mhm.
Prior to that, what got me into real estate is I used to work for a franchisor that was selling gyms comparable to Curves, what the
Yeah.
company Curves from the US. And it was a Quebec company, so they were producing their own equipment and they wanted to compete with Curves. So I was helping people open those franchises. Um, and it was a very big transition. I was working with people coming from pharmaceutical industry or banking or different things like that. And all of a sudden they're opening their own business in health. And there's a real estate component to that. We had to find a locale for them, negotiate the lease, and get them settled in, build the whole place, get all the equipment and the software working, and then teach them how to run their business. So it was a very much a hand-holding type of experience to
Mhm.
bring them from where they were to opening up their gym. And a lot of people got started with us. Um, and then 2008, so we were planning an expansion to the US. And because right, everything just the balloon got popped.
Yeah, it slowed
And
down to say the least.
right. So because of my Anglophone background, I was going to help lead this charge into the US and to Western Canada. So when there was not the possibility to do that, I lost my job. So I decided, what am I going to do next? And one of the things that I had been doing that brought me into what I was going to do next was the real estate component of helping people find and open franchises was one of the areas where I had the most interest.
Mhm.
Negotiating the leases and meeting the landlords, looking at the spaces themselves. So that I remembered being one of the main elements. And the other thing is I wanted to help people and guide them through huge transitions in their lives. I had no problems with that. Some people would see that as a very big responsibility to take. I was happy to do it and comfortable in the role. So it just made sense to go into real estate where I could help people find spaces and make huge transitions in their lives and do them in a very positive way. So that's how I got started in real estate 16 years ago.
So that's when you got a residential license.
I got a residential at the time, we got a residential and a commercial license as well. And in the last 16 years, I've used my commercial license many times, helping to sell businesses, industrial properties, commercial spaces. I've sold restaurants and different things like that. But I always found that the residential aspect was where I had the most fun
Mhm.
and where there's the most emotion involved as well,
That's for sure.
which is kind of fun. I mean, I'm more of a rational, pragmatic type person. So to have people who have the emotions around me, I enjoy, and then I can sort of see through all of it and sort of find the right way forward. But I always enjoy to have a little bit of, excitement in the people that I'm working with. And commercial is all dollars and cents and square footage, which is fine.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
it's a very different approach to
it is.
transaction
It
versus
is.
first. You still handle some first time buyers. Uh,
Sure.
yeah, okay. On a
Sure.
residential where everything seems like a mountain, and I guess you're able to take a few steps back because you've gone through hundreds of transactions.
Right.
But oh boy,
So
sometimes
education is
yeah,
a huge part of it.
that's it.
It always has been for me, and
Mhm.
and to have the patience to explain things has always been one of my strong suits. Which is, and we'll get into it as we see what we've been doing with the Cardinal Realty Group, but training, mentoring brokers to elevate their skills, elevate their way of working in order to be able to satisfy clients' demands at a very high level. That's where I'm spending my teaching abilities these days, more so than working with first time buyers.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's backtrack a little bit. So
yes,
when you founded a Cardinal Realty Group, you just mentioned like there's a big emphasis on education and guiding people through it. Like I remember with my lovely wife Rosalie when we bought our it was a duplex. We turned it into a single family in Verdun, and we wished we worked with a broker who actually explained to us the process a lot more instead of just like, okay, now you've done this. Now you need to do this. Like, well, could we just sit down at the beginning and go through the whole cycle and what it looks like? Because then it's much easier for us to manage. Anyways, so how do you choose to address that education part and kind of hand holding for some of your clientele?
well, some of our clientele is really, it's interesting that you said that because you would love the educational part of it. And I know because knowing you and your interest in real estate investing and all these different things, you've learned hundreds of things from hundreds of people and you're always looking to take more information in. Um, Others just want to get the job done and they're actually kind of nervous about the whole situation until it's done. They can't relax. So they're not in the learning mode,
Yeah.
so you really have to gauge how people are enjoying the process and how much they really want to know.
Hmm.
But to the extent where they want to learn and to the extent where we're in the middle of doing things together, I love to prepare people also for what's coming a little bit down the road. So there's no surprises. Example, in the first conversation we have about buying a property, I'll explain to them how the inspection process works.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to get to the inspection process, which is a very stressful part of the transaction,
Mhm.
very unlike the first conversation that we're having together, which is, just where is Mark going to take this conversation? It's just fun, just
Yeah.
easy. So the inspection process, well, if we don't find anything that was previously unknown and that's of major value, well, then we're just going to move forward,
Mhm.
right? But if we find something that was previously unknown and of significant value, well, then we can renegotiate. We could even drop the offer.
Yeah. It has more of an impact. And that 3 hour inspection process for a lot of people, as you said, is quite stressful
Yeah,
and can take the transaction in different directions.
right. Exactly. So that's why having certain conversations at certain times during the process, I have found makes the entire process a lot smoother rather than just putting fires out when they're lit.
Yeah.
Because real estate transactions are mostly going to go well. And that's the other thing. It's like tenants. People are scared to have tenants, but most tenants are great.
Yeah, most relationships properly managed are absolutely fine.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. You only hear about the problem cases.
yeah.
And that's why people have this idea that residential or other real estate transactions can be complicated because on occasion they can be,
Mhm.
or the tenants can be problematic because on occasion they can be.
So, um, Cardinal Realty Group depends on you're who you affiliated with?
Okay, so here's a misconception. I'll clear it up right away because when I say I'm Marc Leroux, real estate broker with the Cardinal Realty Group, people assume that that could be an agency, and also the language around brokerage and
Mhm.
agency and stuff has changed over the years.
Yeah.
So we used to be agents or affiliated agents, right, with brokers, which were the Keller Williams, Remax, Royal LePage of this
Mhm.
world. Now those are agencies and we are brokers
Yeah.
instead of agents working for those agencies. So see how the language changed and of course, people in everyday life don't necessarily keep up with all the different verbiage that we use in our industry. But We are a real estate team, the Cardinal Realty Group, which is working under the umbrella of Keller Williams
Okay.
Prestige here in Montreal.
Okay.
And so that's the agency is Keller Williams Prestige. We are a real estate team. And another misconception is about, what's the difference between having a team and having an agency? They're two very different business models, actually. They're
Can you elaborate a little bit more? Like, what does that mean for
Sure.
you? How did you structure your team as a function of that?
Sure. Well, to keep things simple, like most businesses, a team model would run just lean. It would have just enough business and then just enough personnel. The personnel is just enough to satisfy the business that you have. If you grow your business, whether you have more and more demand,
Mhm.
you need to grow your admin or you need to grow your brokers to be more able to serve this larger clientele. So you need to keep things balanced.
Okay.
The agency model works very differently. So they create an environment, office, conference rooms, these different things.
So that's the Keller Williams Prestige.
Right. Or Royal LePage or
Yeah,
Remax
or
or
Remax.
any one of these offices.
Yeah.
Their model is they want to create an environment which any broker or team could come and thrive in, offer education and support, accounting services and these different things
To those brokers.
to those brokers. And now they want to have as many brokers as possible come and work out of that office because the more they have, the more revenue they make because they'll take rent or income in one way or another.
And there's is it a membership fee, or how do you
Oh, it
call it?
differs.
Yeah.
It's very different. You could have, you could pay a monthly rent. You could pay a percentage of commissions that you earn. You could pay transaction fees every time you make a transaction. So there's any number of ways or multiple ways that agencies will charge brokers for the services they provide. And the services they provide are very valuable,
Mhm.
very valuable to brokers, especially um, and we'll talk about that, but I just got back from Las Vegas, which is a big Keller Williams
Yeah. It's the
convention.
big annual event.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And so these are the types of things that being associated with different agencies, because every agency has its uh, award ceremonies and its
It's annual powwow.
annual powwow. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And that is part of it. The education you get from being part of an agency is also a huge part of it. And I'm getting so much from the education that's coming through my agency. And in fact, I work closely with the top people in the agency in order to help with education.
Okay.
So, and there's mutual benefits that come from helping each other out in terms of we're trying to make more successful brokers. We're trying to allow people to, and when we talk about the Cardinal Realty Group, one of my number one things about starting the Cardinal Realty Group was to create a life for realtors.
Okay.
Because in reality, when I got started, I was working 7 days a week. You take calls very late,
Yeah, it never stops.
right?
You're
And-
running your own business.
And it's difficult. As soon as the phone vibrates or rings, the instinct is to pick it up and serve in any way possible, regardless of where you are, who you're with, your family, and so forth. And
It's hard to put those limits.
yeah,
Mm.
and everyone has your cell phone at the beginning, so
Yeah.
they can reach you all the time.
Yeah, because you
So-
make money when you sell, and you got to sell to make money.
So how do you go 7 days?
You
and
can't.
Then, and then you go another 7
You
days.
can't.
And then another. It catches up with you at some point. I mean, you could be young and you could be driven and you want to succeed and you could probably do it for a while. But without having consistent time away from work, then you can't concentrate on your priorities as a person or as a father or even to be in a relationship. So the work sort of takes over.
Yeah.
And as realtors, that's one of the things that we struggle with is to make time for our personal lives
Balance.
and to create some balance for ourselves and in so doing some healthy habits,
Mhm.
right? Because when you're working all the time and stress, we've seen this in any number of industries where alcohol and different things can come in. So, and become a problem.
Yeah.
So my thought was there's a way to do this job where we're all replaceable. So why don't we use that to our advantage instead of looking at being replaceable as some kind of disadvantage? Why don't we say, if we create a system where by logging the activity that we do with our clients
Mhm.
through the notes, through the files, keeping everything updated and everything,
Somebody else can take over after.
yeah,
Yeah.
with very limited notice,
Yeah.
even no notice, if a broker were to disappear, literally,
Yeah.
for some reason,
We can pick it right back.
goes to Costa Rica and gets into, his bus goes off the road, and all of a sudden he's in a hospital somewhere in Costa Rica, one of the brokers for Cardinal Realty Group. Imagine.
Yeah.
Now, that broker is on vacation for a week, but he's working with 14 families that are looking to, at some point in the next month or two, make a move.
Yeah.
Someone has to pick up those 14 files and make sure that everyone who had visits planned and these sorts of things are going to be able to move forward with their plans.
Yeah.
And that the broker in Costa Rica in a bus accident is not going to derail their purchase or their sale.
Mm-hmm.
So by creating systems and by making sure that all the information was logged and that we were enough brokers, first of all, to be able to jump in and take on extra workload when one of our brokers is on vacation. This way we become replaceable and we become able to step away for a day or two per week, plus a week or two every so often to spend some time.
And it's just a different way to organize the work to make sure that there's continuity in
Absolutely.
case something happens and that it doesn't just depend on one person, because otherwise you didn't create a business. You just created yourself a job.
Exactly.
And you need to be.
And if I
to
step out,
change.
then the business is worth nothing.
Yeah.
So by creating a system with admin support, a number of brokers, complete system about the way that we work and in our day-to-day, then if we need someone to replace us, it becomes very, very easy for someone to step in, read the file, learn it, see which properties have been visited, any offers that have been made on other properties. Now you have a very good idea about the properties that family is looking at
Yeah.
and what they're interested in. You can have a conversation with them and you're up to speed in 15 minutes.
Yeah. Much faster. And so now you founded the Cardinal Realty Group a few years ago. What does your team look like in terms of brokers and assistants?
We're still rather a small team. So we have 3 brokers and 2 admins
Okay.
that work to facilitate our day-to-day operation.
And then you mentioned that you just came back from Keller Williams, from I was going to say from Woodstock of brokers for Keller Williams. What I always like to say that the U.S. is a couple of years ahead of us for a lot of things. Is there anything over there that is shared regarding the market that we should be aware of and you'd like to share with us?
So I just came back from 4 days of real estate conference in Las Vegas. Like you mentioned, it's an annual convention of Keller Williams that they call Family Reunion. And so we've had it in different cities every time, different convention centers. And this year was in Las Vegas. But to see the likes of Gary Keller, which is, I think he's one of the most renowned businessmen in the real estate industry. And this not just from Keller Williams agents, but even from different agencies worldwide.
He's impacted the entire industry, not just the firm.
He really has. And to see him on stage with Jay Papazan and all of these people, Jason Abrams, who hosts the Millionaire Real Estate podcast, and talks about some of the leaders of our industry and how they went and succeeded, whether doing what I'm doing, which is building a team or systems, to allow us to be replaceable and all the things I was just mentioning to you. People have done this. People have created systems and teams that are very successful, offering a very high level of customer service, very consistent level of customer service. And so to go to these conventions and to have them explain how they went about and did it.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to someone like me who is
So
who
motivated.
knows exactly what he wants to do. And I'm just missing some time and a few things and people that I need to put in certain places, but I can see already exactly what the Cardinal Realty Group will look like in 5 years or 10 years. I can imagine the commercial realty that will be installed in and different things like that. So there's a lot of plans that are coming for us. And in so doing, we'll provide Montrealers with one more option that can provide them with top level customer service.
Very
But
good.
as we were saying, the takeaways, there were so many, Excel. There were so many, so much information.
Yeah. Is there a few that comes to your mind where you were on your flight back from Las Vegas that you kept thinking about?
As I was on the flight coming back, I was looking at the Hublot and there was a big blue sky. And I thought that's exactly what 2025 real estate looks like for us. Big blue sky. It's amazing. We've been waiting for this combination of factors, which are going to be I know I've heard from some of your podcasts from listening to them in the past that you've addressed the problem um, of properties and supply, which
Not
is a
enough
major
supply on the
problem,
market.
not enough
Yeah.
supply.
Rising prices, rising rents.
Sure,
hmm
sure. All of this demand from previously before COVID or during COVID, where there was low interest rates and all this demand and no supply.
No.
And it just got worse from 2015 till 2022.
We don't build enough. We need
That's
to
the
build
thing.
more.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
A lot of emphasis has been put on short-term rentals as being
Mhm.
one of the main problems. I find that short-term rentals aren't a problem, that they're being used as a
as a scapegoat.
yes.
Oh yeah. The,
Yes,
the, the
very much so.
yeah. No, the city hall in the city of for Montreal has totally taken short-term rental as a scapegoat and to hide their incompetence in speeding up the process and building more, which is trying to kill the industry that has just a few thousand units on the market. Anyways, don't get me going there.
Right. I know this is a soft spot for you because as a real estate investor, I know that short-term rentals, I wish that we could do more of them more easily.
Mhm.
I'm looking into different ways that we can thrive using short-term rentals with the situation as it is. I'm sure you are as well.
I actually
Um,
don't do any short-term rental. I only have long-term or medium-term. But
Same.
I still find it's been used as a scapegoat to hide the real problem that we don't build nearly enough, and that a lot of cities are freaking incompetent.
It's like the fire in old Montreal a
Mhm.
couple of years ago. That building was if the municipality had gone in, there's
And
no way they could
infected.
give that green light, that building, whether
Mhm.
it's for short-term rental or long-term rental. It would never have gotten a green light to continue to operate. So that's where, in my opinion, the issue was. The building was substandard. It was, and these kinds of things should be looked at. And new construction, I think, if you look at the past, you always find the way forward. And before us, when the baby boomers, for example, were looking to buy homes, there were not enough.
No.
Their generation had more people than ever before. So what did they do? Well, if we look at what happened during those years, the three levels of government, federal, provincial, and municipal, got together and created subsidies and cut the red tape and made sure that builders had more opportunity more easily
Mhm.
and were able to build enough properties for baby boomers. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah, except now they can't coordinate themselves, and it's often the decision makers are non-elected, and they have very little accountability to the people.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
it's
that's a shame. And until they can find ways to create subsidies or encourage builders to build enough. I remember watching a report from CMHC in 2022 saying there's hundreds of thousands of properties that we're not going to build over the next 10 years that we need.
yeah.
And it's the shortfall is going to be huge.
Mhm.
So we were talking about what do your audience want to know about what's coming up in real estate? Because we've had shortness of supply, we've had high demand, lowest interest rates, then high, now back to something reasonable. The market's kind of neutral in a way, balanced for a change. Instead of being this crazy seller's market or buyer's market,
It's a little bit more balanced.
it's more balanced.
Mhm.
Now, what's going to happen with supply sort of maybe not keeping up to the demand? Or you might see prices starting to rise,
Continue to
continue to rise, except for a lull in 2022 and huge increases in prices prior to that. I think now we'll see more moderately increase of pricing over the next 5-10 years. So people who invest in revenue properties as they are coming back to do now,
keep
buying,
buying.
condos,
Yeah,
buy what you can.
yeah.
Don't wait.
Buying.
Yeah, buy and wait.
Mhm.
Don't wait to buy.
The way to buy, exactly, and that's a very good point. Now, for those who are listening who'd like to know more about you, what is the best way to get in touch?
Yes. Well, the Cardinal Realty Group, you can find us online, cardinalrealtygroup.ca, or you can call us.
Call us, reach out on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, we're on all the social media platforms.
Yeah.
You can Google Cardinal Realty Group and find us rather easily. We help people all over the Montreal area, greater Montreal area, helping them buy and sell properties, of course, but also look at what's coming ahead in terms of new construction. So we're involved with people who are doing that as well. Because I believe the future of the residential real estate is in
And the new
new
construction.
construction, what
Yeah.
they're building now, the
Fabulous
technologies,
asset class.
the sustainability, So there's so many things that we can
Mhm.
look and see what's happening for the future and incorporate those in our day-to-day activities.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mark, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you. I'm very glad you came on the show today. And so for everybody who's listening, you can reach out to Marc Leroux, reach out on LinkedIn, look at him online, give him a good old phone call. It always works. And he does pick up. I've been there. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you next week. Bye bye.